Unanswered. Action.
Okay, thank you all for joining us for our end of March Transit Riders Council meeting. It's been a long week of meetings. And a lot came out at the MTA meetings, which I will go over some of. But since we do have a quorum, can we get an approval of today's agenda?
I second it.
Thank you. Thank you. That's everybody. And how about the minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Try to move fast, that's why.
Try to beat you this time.
Okay, then let me get into the chair's report because there's a lot to talk about. So you may have heard this, but the MTA is going to hire a new consultant, a dual consultant for the next phase, for the next phase.
Oh,
of-
we don't.
For the next phase of Second Avenue subway, where it will go up to 125th Street. And that dual consultants is AECom and HNTB. And I always remember Ronnie Hakam went to HNTB after being here. So, and AECom is a well-known consulting firm. So that's a great team to help get Second Avenue 3 new stations. The first 106th Street station, 116th and 125th between Lexington and Park, which will allow transfers to Metro North instead of being at Second Avenue. So that's really great. There is still talk about, does it extend westward? I mean, the layup tracks are going to go as far west as Lenox Avenue already. We know that. But there's still talk about sending it further west rather than having it further downtown, which was the next phase, Midtown, obviously. So we don't know where that's going yet. In addition, depending on whether we get the 25 to 29 capital program fully funded in one way or another, we don't know if we're going to get the Interborough Express either, because that was relying on the 25 to 29 capital program. And I know that's one of the governor's, real main projects that she would like to see. And I'm getting a little frustrated when the chair and others at the MTA say, there's no Brooklyn Queens connection. This is going to be that. Well, the G train does go to Long Island City. The M train does go to Glendale and Middle Village. And the J train does go from Brooklyn to Jamaica. And the A train does go from, the center of Brooklyn all the way to the Rockaways and to Lefferts Boulevard. So yes, there are Brooklyn to Queens methods right now. But yes, the Interborough Express will be very useful. And they like to say we'll connect 17 lines. Some of those connections I think are a little too many. 3 of them are the same line connecting with the L. I don't know that that's necessary if you really want the IBX to move. But in any event, so we're going to see this new consultancy. It's not cheap. It's a lot of money, but this is a very important project. 43 more stations are going to become accessible in the next capital plan. Yeah, we have maps. We didn't get our share of that maps like they gave out at the MTA board yesterday, right?
You didn't give that.
We have a few of them. We can give to those who would like to see these. 43 stations is a great addition, needless to say.
Once you read it, can you pass it, please?
Do we have to say, can we get,
We're going to give you a copy.
oh, yes.
I don't know that we don't have any addresses. We only have like one for the office. We don't.
Oh, well, I'll get them then. They have plenty upstairs. So that's great news. Ridership is up 9% over last February, so things are moving in the right direction. And obviously, you have heard buses are moving much faster thanks to congestion pricing. Congestion pricing has brought in almost $52 million in February, more than in January, about 2 million more than was expected. So people are still driving and they're paying the fee, and the MTA is getting the money that we so desperately need. More than 100 million has come in the first 2 months. That's just fabulous. That can make so many improvements, upgrades. As the chairman likes to say, our power sources are in dire need of upgrading. After you see the one in Brooklyn that broke down and disrupted F and G train riders like a month ago, it was unreal. So there are many of those throughout the system that need upgrades. You have all heard, I'm sure, Transportation Secretary Duffy and his threats to our system and to our way of life, basically. He was in New Jersey looking at the I-80 sinkholes. He took that opportunity to call our transit system an S-hole. I won't say the word because we're online
Just
now.
did.
An S-hole, I said.
I hear that.
It's not good. And he's threatening, if we don't get crime under control, if we don't get the subways clean, if we don't take care of the homeless and we don't make people feel safe, they will stop federal subsidies to us. And the chairman gave a great response to that yesterday, as did some board members about, as did Security Chief Kemper, about how crime has been brought down, all the steps we've taken, how there are cameras in every car now, how people are getting removed and put into help for those that need it with the scout team. And he had a whole, and I have a copy of it, and I took a picture of it from the screen. It showed all of the cities and where crime is in those cities. And New York is really on the low end of this table. It's amazing. And he's going to tell us we're not doing the right thing when crime is down. It's amazing. Crime is down 20, 25, 40% in some cases, depending on the type of crime we're talking about. Yes, there have been some increase in assaults. Those are being made. They're looking for who's doing those. They're going to be brought under control. Because what we've been able to do the others, there's no reason we can't stop those as well. So to threaten the place that has 50% of the transit users in the country, but gets 17% of the federal dollars, what's wrong with that picture? And he's going to threaten to take away our lousy 17%? What's wrong with that picture? We can't have that. There were a lot of good responses. One of the chair of the Finance Committee, Neil Zuckerman, invited online Secretary Duffy to attend next month's meetings, and we can show them where crime has been brought down, what we are doing to improve the system, and all of that. I doubt that he will show up. Yes, Karen.
Well, I guess this is between congestion pricing and the threats. What has been, anything new since there's been the extension of congestion pricing, the new deadline?
The deadline is now April 20th, according to the feds.
Right.
Um,
Any new requirements?
And the governor has said until a court tells us to turn the cameras off, we are not turning them off.
Okay.
But
Stuart,
there is a deadline it's given us for a written safety plan. So are they actually going to submit something?
they are. They've got this whole big plan. They're ready to submit it within days.
Maybe they could share that with us too.
Absolutely.
For a few.
It'll be public.
It'll be public.
It'll definitely be public. Trudy.
The risk, I didn't want to interrupt while you were giving your report, but there were two items. First of all, would be consultants, and I don't read I don't know, I don't give Rupert Murdoch a penny even, but I have somebody in my building who's a big fan, whose politics are sway to the right of mine, who gives me his post a day later, and sometimes I also watch it on New York One and the headlines. So the Post is on a rampage.
Oh, they are.
About, and a lot of people believe it because as I said before, people identify me with the MTA, so I start getting phone calls, which happened yesterday, that was in yesterday's paper, because of the cost of getting more and more consultants for the extension of the Second Avenue subway. So I'm wondering, and maybe you want to get into this, why we need more consultants when we had so many consultants and we have so many people in CNR or, what is it called? CNR, construction and.
C&D. Construction and development.
We have, well, more people than I ever knew, were working there. Why? I'm just passing on now but I didn't get it in that as nice questions.
Yes, of
I
course.
got, what the blankety blank are you people doing? And you're gonna raise the fare. And I hope that we will be in a place to remind, as I have been doing, even though you didn't get into it, that we had voted that every 3 years we would be or not we, the MTA board, that we would be raising the fare and that the August fare was voted on like 2 years ago because
Yeah.
people don't realize that. And again, this is all in
Yeah.
the post and
They
and
agreed
even
to
the
make
time, even
Fare
the
increases every
Times,
2 years.
even the Times has been saying some nice thing, and that's where people get their information. Except for those, I'm sure that
The
some of
post
you.
screaming
people-
headlines that are not good.
Yeah, but
They're
people
horrific.
believe them.
If you know where the post is coming from, you don't.
Oh, I know where the post is coming from, but
Okay.
what I'm saying is, and I don't know if any of you, I'm sure you get a lot of calls, even though the west side tends to be a little more liberal than.
The reason for the consultants, there were going to be consultants. It happens to be that there's going to now be a joint consultancy. So having a joint rather than having two separate ones probably saved some money. Is it still an additional cost? Absolutely, it is.
I think money from having two, but why did we need two
There-
or one?
Just,
when-
I think Jano addressed this really clearly in the presser yesterday. That there's two main reasons. One, this is a temporary workforce for a relatively short-term project. And secondly, these consultants have specialities that the in-house team doesn't have. And they don't want to hire folks for these positions just to turn around and fire them 3 years from now. or
Did
4
we
years
have
from now.
consultants on?
ACOM and HNT are the top of the transit consulting.
Did you have consultants like this as?
Yes, we've had them for very many other projects.
Talking about for the secondary.
Yes, there were consultants for that
Absolutely.
as well.
Yeah. And there's issues that have to be discussed with the community and about the
Oh, I know.
possible extension, which way it's going to go from 125th Street.
That's the calls I've been getting mostly
Yeah.
from the community.
Yeah, the community, but it's going to be really good for East Harlem for sure. Let me go on. Bus speeds on the M42, the M50 and the Q32, which use the 59th Street Bridge, as you know, are way up. So there's far less, traffic on some of these crosstown streets. But the fact that these buses are getting much, much faster. And I was also told that some express buses from both Staten Island and Brooklyn are so much faster that they're talking now about possibly doing away with schedules, or as Andy Byford would say, schedules. And just having because the buses are beating the schedules and they don't want them to have to sit in a place and wait to meet the schedule. So, if you have an app, it will show you how far away your bus is, but maybe they don't keep the schedules anymore because they're beating the schedules. So that's definitely great news for Staten Island and Southern Brooklyn riders, like you, Spisika.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm sure, Karen, Southeast Queens Express buses are making better time too.
If they come.
If they come.
Or cancel.
Hopefully, there are not too many canceled. Speaking of Southeast Queens, they're making great progress on rebuilding the South Channel Bridge to the Rockaways and the Hamels Y in the Rockaways. The Rockaway shuttle, which I think should have always been from Far Rockaway to Rockaway Park, is 99% on time now. Of course, it doesn't have to deal with anything else. And because some of those trains needed upgrading, and because the third rail is gone, they had to send diesel trains down, temporarily put the bridge back, let some of these older cars, because some R46s were still running out there, bring them to the yards and put newer trains out so that at least the Rockaway shuttle has newer trains now. And obviously, if you ride the A train, you'll see that almost every other train is now an R211. So they've got really new cars on the A and the C line now. Yes,
I just want to ask a question about the schedules.
yes.
I was here when Andy was here also.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for those of you who missed Andy Byford, you really missed a treat.
Oh, Train Daddy is great.
Train Daddy was absolutely one. That's what everybody called him, was Train Daddy. Anyway, I noticed, and again, it's pointed out to me if I didn't notice, that on First, Second, Third, and Lex, the buses, the 101, 102, 103, M15, that if you go by bus time, which is a marvelous thing to have, to know how long
Time's accurate.
you have to wait. But So a bus will show up in bus time and that it's at X, 10 blocks away or something. And everybody goes, hey, it's coming. And then as it comes close to the stop, you look on the top and it says, next bus, please, or whatever. And there's.
Or fare required.
No. They're required is fine. But next bus believes that it's just going to go straight through and it's not going to stop and it's not picking up. And I wonder if that has anything to do with the schedules that you.
Don't know, but I can ask.
And trying to make up, if they're so far ahead of schedule that some dispatcher will get to them. And
I will ask that question, Trudy.
because if there's been an epidemic almost.
I'll find out.
I'm just waiting
Thank
to
you.
finish.
Yeah, thank you. Congestion fees are basically made up 66% are passenger cars. 24% are taxis or for-hire vehicles, and yellow cabs are doing a lot better since this started, by the way. 9% are trucks, 1% are buses and motorcycles. So that's the breakdown of the congestion fee. And more good news, ACE cameras are coming to the M2 and M4 bus routes. And where ACE cameras are in place, once people get ticketed with these, they don't block the bus lane ever again because they don't want these fees. And it's working. And so if we get it on the M2 and the M4, that will really speed up buses. A lot more routes. So that's great. Cameras are already on the BX35, the M101, the Q43, the B35, the S46, the B41, major route in Brooklyn, the
Yeah.
B42, the S79 SBS, the BX28, the BX38, the B82 SBS, the Q53 SBS, the M86 SBS, the M79 SBS, the M60 SBS, the B25, the Q5, the Q69, the BX6 XBS, and the B26. By the end of the year, it will be on 64 routes. So those buses will definitely have a much clearer way of getting through. Kalia, I think everybody heard your complaint about the student Omni cards last month and the garbage crap that they are made out of. And
Thank you.
that will be changed by the end of the year. The MTA has gotten lots of complaints about how they're breaking, they're tearing, they're folding, and they're no good. And they will be plastic like they should have been, or something much sturdier by the end of the year. Because that was a no-brainer, obviously. So
Thank
that-
you. I'll tell
absolutely.
I'll be sure to tell Brandon that.
Tell him, he'll be thrilled. Again, many people have made a lot in the last few days with the threats from the Department of Transportation about how the MTA carries half the transit ridership, but gets 17% of the transit funding. That has to change. That just can't continue that way. I hope our congressional delegation will try to do something about that. And we'll try to stop the threats against New York, because if they kill our transit system, or if they make us not do the improvements that we need to do, that means thousands of jobs. The estimates were through all parts of New York State, the capital program brings jobs, not just to the 5 boroughs, but to Long Island, to upstate, to the southern tier. I mean, there's jobs everywhere in the state. It's going to hurt. And if you hurt New York, which is the economic engine of the nation, you're going to see really terrible things going on. And I will just end my report there.
Andrew, I know Marisol, I was waiting to finish his report and I had a question for him.
Okay, please go on, and then I'll call on Marisol.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions as I was listening what you're saying. When you.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah. There is a question. When you mentioned I'm gonna start with the bus ones because there's been issues on Kings High with the 82 SBS. So with those cameras there on the SBS, is this gonna be also not just gonna be SBS, or how about the local 82? Because they both
I
run.
thought I mentioned that one too, didn't I?
You only said 82 SBS. I just want to be clear.
Let me make sure.
Yeah, because the SBS only runs on weekday service only, does not run on weekends. The 44, the 46, SBS are 20.
Yeah, the regular 82 is not mentioned in the list, but I suspect it will be coming. Because if it's on one route, that uses Kings Highway, it would be ridiculous to not do it on the other routes.
So the traffic's gonna get a little more, there's gonna be an issue because with the SBS not running on weekends, it is gonna be a problem along the Kings Highway issue. So that is gonna cause it a vulnerable moment. The other thing was, I know you mentioned a lot of things came up, which I'm also glad accessibility is on this here. The surveys that we've been doing as the community outreach officer for ACTA, the surveys have been working. So a lot of us TRC members are here or virtual world, thank you, because stations are adding into the list. And the one thing now, if those stations are on the list, this is a good time to remind all of us to put a support letters out and CC to our officials and to the MTA as well. And I will, and that's what I'm gonna say right now, because there is more, but you and I can talk.
And I'll find out about the regular B82 route.
Yeah.
Marisol, and then Sharon.
Hi, real quick. You said the congestion fees for the passengers was, what was the percentage for the passengers?
66%.
Cars.
66, and then I have a question. What's the criteria for the ACE cameras on these routes? Do they say why these routes were selected?
I assume it's because there is an innumerable numbers of cars blocking either the bus lanes or the bus stops. And that means the bus can't get to the curb, board people that might need curb boarding or wheelchair accessibility or other issues. Not to mention that if it's in the bus lane, it's slowing the buses down. And if any of those routes, and I certainly don't know because that was a lot of routes I mentioned, if they have transit signal prioritization on any of those routes, that means the bus can get through a red light, whereas a car cannot.
I appreciate that. I just wondered if there was a threshold, because there,
I can
Honestly-
ask. I don't know what the threshold is, but I assume it's because buses have been blocked there pretty badly.
okay, thank you.
Sure. Sharon,
Two quick things. One is in terms of what she was talking about,
Marisol.
well, whoever was, when you're not in the, if there's a bus lane and you need to turn right, are you supposed to turn from the regular lane and cross over the bus lane? Because everybody gets on the bus lane to make the right.
A lot of them do, yep.
I got a ticket for it. So I don't know if there should be.
It also depends on what the street layout is on that particular route. In some routes, the bus lane is actually more towards the middle than the extreme lane. And then they leave the bus lane to make a stop.
Well,
It
anyway.
depends on the route.
There's confusion about that. The
Yeah.
other thing in terms of accessibility, my niece has been here, we've had suitcases. We cannot find where the elevators are. We flounder around even 42nd Street. I didn't realize there wasn't a bus on the an elevator for the 456.
Grand Central?
42nd Street. And you don't know if there is accessibility and where it is. And if some signage, attention can be paid to the signage about these things. If you have a disability and are familiar with the system, you probably know how to use all of the apps and internet availability.
Chris can answer that, actually.
The reason is because I'm on as the ACT committee member and subcommittee of signages, Grand Central signages right now, since they're doing construction and the way they,
Okay.
I'm just, because I'm saying not just the other issue that it is a pilot going on called the Navalance program. As some of us have been testing it, but the problem is there are signages that I have put in already with the signage people, with Carmel Aurora and the professor represents with me. We have requested a temporary signages, like instead, if they're doing construction, we should see a signs not up in the air, but on my level, if I'm sitting like in a wheelchair or standing at a certain point, I can see which direction. And I have put this up numerous times. And I'm glad, Sharon, you also bring it up because now I have to say, I will let Carmel Aurora and my person to let them know that we have an issue with Grand Central because people are getting lost and they
It's
don't know.
not just, it was 42nd and the N and the R.
Times Square.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm gonna say the same thing.
But you
And
need to know what direction to go.
yes,
If there's a wheelchair sign and then which direction to go, because you don't know.
I will bring it up to, and I will be doing a tour with the
Okay.
person, so.
May I do a follow-up on that, on the signage or the directions?
Have their hands up now.
Can I just do a follow-up on not any other question, which if you can add Fulton Street. Chris?
I'm
That's what I was
listening.
gonna call you, but Fulton Street on the 4 and 5.
Yes, ma'am.
Because there are some signs, but then you have to walk upstairs, downstairs till you get to the elevator. I mean, it's more trouble to take up the elevators. I think there's only one, and it's at the end of the station.
Uptown platform?
Uptown and downtown.
Just for the record, and just saying it's downtown, just let everyone know. Inside, when you're already in the system, there's an elevator there, but once you're outside,
No, I'm talking about inside, but you want to switch over to something else.
the inside elevator.
And it's just, I've become, with my ailment, so I've now become very conscious
Signage is important.
of the amount of walking that.
Okay,
That they can't help. It's because
Kalia,
systems.
no, but I still will put it in. Thank you,
Hi.
Trudy.
I think it was Cameron that was talking about the bus lane. I can't really see you, but I can see the side of you. Some bus lanes have signages that tell you where you can turn and how to turn. Just depends on where you are. Where to turn in the bus lane. I know we have them here in Brooklyn. They tell you the times from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or whatever. So there is signages. I'm not sure where you are. I know there's a lot of desert places out in Queens and in Long Island and in Suffolk County, Nassau County that doesn't have the signages like they're supposed to. But maybe you should, there's a sign. They're a little high sometimes when you're driving, but some of them are there. The other thing that I was going to ask about, Andrew, was the cameras on the busing. Does it have anything to do with fare evasion whatsoever? Because I know that's a big topic that keeps going on, and I don't know if we will ever get rid of fare evasion. As an accessorized rider, I know we love the cameras to be a deterrent for the bus stops, with trucks and things like that. But does it have anything to do with fare evasion, the bus routes that they chose?
it's to speed up the buses is the reason they chose the cameras. But the ACE cameras are also revealing if somebody has a license plate that is frozen or hidden or revolving, one of those, ghost plates, they are picking up on those and reporting them as well. So, those are toll evasion, not fare evasion, but they're picking up on those as well. So, that's two reasons to have the cameras everywhere we can.
We're missing one bus that it should be on. It should be on the B62 in Brooklyn. The timing and the B62, it was brought to me by some community members a couple of times. The B62 is a real problem. So,
All right.
okay, thank you.
I will report it. Thank you.
Back me up, Mike.
Yes, Trudy.
Yeah, I have a question on another part of your report I'm reading this also. When we talk about 60% of congestion pricing money, how much it is, et cetera, are we talking about that has been billed, or is this actually cash that has come in already?
Cash that has come in already.
So it's not.
2 months brought in over $100 million.
But when people get the bill in the mail or email to them or anything, they're not complaining about. No,
That's only about 5% of the overall total. 95% of the tolling nowadays is on Easy Pass, so it's pretty much automatic.
It's
Yeah.
Or take a couple-
because of that, yeah, but so
The money-
people aren't billed directly.
Only if they don't have an Easy Pass at all, which is a very small percentage.
Karen,
When you mention the buses that have the camera, does that include the bus that was dangling over the overpass in the Bronx? The reason I ask, because my understanding is that happened because there was a double parking situation and the bus driver wasn't comfortable getting through and another bus driver helped navigate the bus. And so there's just this practical safety implication
What,
of
remember what street that was on?
like, that's what I was looking at.
It was, it's right near the highway, the Hudson Highway.
Henry Hudson.
Parkway, right outside where 231st.
Yeah, he said he couldn't make it around a parked car
Yeah,
Yeah,
to that, so to me, like that, one bus should have it.
Trudy's
you know,
favorite
for
area, I
sure,
mean,
that bus
Edith's
should.
favorite area.
no, that's a good point. I don't know what caused that almost terrible tragedy, but thankfully it didn't go over the edge.
Right. But it's because of a parked car and they just couldn't navigate the situation.
Yeah,
Yes. Andrew, I have something to add in. Commissioner Speak. I'm just
On
on
this topic or another topic?
different topic. When you're on your report.
Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing we did mention, you know that the R211T on the G, there was a press conference and it has been running,
I know.
because I know Carl.
I've ridden it.
Yeah, and I have to say this, we've been getting, I've been hearing a lot of people complimenting it because even a stroller, a wheelchair and a walker love going through the car because since the train is a half, for some stations, like if I got on, let's say 7th Avenue, 9th Street, I'm in the 5th car sometimes, or the 1st car, whatever. I can go to a different position of the car and get off at, Longmont Metropolitan with the LNG meet and you have no issue. This is what I'm hearing a lot of people saying. It's wonderful that when that train comes in because they feel the train is moving perfectly. But when they're on an R46, it feels like it's going brum, 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 brum.
Well, some of the 46s are well beyond their life.
Yes.
But I love being able to look out the window like you can on our 46, as opposed to looking at the person right across from you.
You get on your knees like a kid's doing to look at.
On the case of the R211s on open gangways on the G line, one of the other advantages, and I can see pros and cons to the open gangways, but one of the pros is that you can't climb on the roof between cars and subway surf, which is going to save lives, obviously, because people are still doing that in a ridiculous amount. And the G is above ground when it comes out at Smith 9th Street for a couple of stops, so, and 4th Avenue. So, but really, it's, if somebody smells in the next car, you'll smell it in your car unless you keep moving. And unfortunately, somebody thought they had to ride their e-bike down the whole train, which is not good.
I didn't see that.
Actually, they actually caught someone on the C train.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Answer Dante's question.
yeah, sure, go ahead.
Dante, we see your question in the chat about the Franklin Avenue Medgar Evers College station.
And I've mentioned
So-
that to Q several times.
Yes.
Too.
He is looking for which group that station can be placed in.
Yes,
They have not said no, for sure.
They just announced 13 additional stations at the committee meeting on Monday, and that unfortunately was not one of them. But we did also send a letter on behalf of PCAC with a bunch of stations that we would like to see included in the next batch that will to be made accessible.
Yeah.
That was, of course, at the top of the list, and we will continue to fight for that station, but unfortunately, it has not been committed yet.
And support letters need to go in, as I said earlier.
Kalia, do you have another question? Unmute.
I just wanted to reiterate what you guys were saying about the R211. As a wheelchair user myself, I know that when I'm travel training someone, sometimes they don't know which side, where they're gonna end up in the train station. So this gives them the opportunity to be able to move to a spot where they can exit the train, level with the platform, and it doesn't always have to be directly in the conductor's spot, which a lot of times are still antiquated. We're working with the engineers on changing a lot of those antiquated signs that says this is the conductor's spot, because the new trains don't fit where those spots were. But I just want to reiterate what Chris says. It's a great leap for a wheelchair user. It's a big, big, big deal for us not to have to be in one particular car and then have to try to struggle our way through to get out. For example, if I want to get out at Marcy, if I get on at 34th Street in one spot, by the time I get to Marcy, I'm all the way in the back of the train and I'm doing a Dukes of Hazzard move to get off the train. right? And afraid I'm gonna go over the railing. So I, the R211s are really a great addition for wheelchair users.
R211Ts, you mean?
Ts,
Open- Yes,
Ts.
yes,
Please.
yes. Open gangways, okay. Yes, so we've been joined by our speaker, and the reason we asked for this topic is I have heard from many people about the lack of cells and Wi-Fi service underground. When you do get on Bolden's network, it says no internet on many phones.
Yes.
So what's the point of all of that? And while we have the 42nd Street shuttle as the first place that is totally wired underground from Grand Central to Times Square, a lot of people are asking, where's the next group of stations going to be? So we thought it would be great to have this topic here. And we have Bobby Samuel, who's Vice President of Broadband Strategy and Implementation at MTA Construction and Development. Thank you for being with us. And hopefully you can answer all of these questions.
Sure, I'll try.
Thank you so much.
So I'm on camera here. I guess you'll put up the slides.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I guess everyone could hear me, right? My mic is off, but I think it's picking up a little bit. Okay,
Yes.
good. Good afternoon. I'm here to talk about the expansion of public wireless connectivity, Bolden, previously known as Transry Wireless. It's a great opportunity to make our customers trip better, private investment to the system, and to generate revenue. So these are the goals of this project. Now, next slide. So before I go into the expansion, I just want to give a brief summary on the history. Cell phone and Wi-Fi is at every underground subway station currently. Bolden installed it and they operate that network. It was not a small feat to get this accomplished, especially the age of our system, the old stations. But we figured it out, the engineers figured this out, and it works well, and it generates revenue for the MTA. Over the course of the years, and this was a license which was signed back in 2007, we turned to Bolden or Transfer Wireless at that time for many of our evolving needs. Such as the help points, the fiber optic cables we needed for some MTIT connectivity, the B division countdown clocks. And at that point, we do have recurring payments to them when we implemented this type of technology. The project was very ambitious, but we needed to do more. As the gentleman said, we need more better connectivity in the tunnels. People want to send emails, text. They want to look at news feeds and whatever else they are doing on the web. And plus, they should not be phasing in and phasing out as they travel from one station to the other. But Transit Wireless at that time, or Bolden currently, they rebranded their name, was positioned for this expansion because they had the infrastructure already in place for this connectivity. Next slide. So the Bolden leadership, the MTA leadership, we banded together and said, look, how do we do this expansion? And we signed the expansion license in December of 22. So approved by the board, and we signed the license December of 22. So for our customers, this will provide cell service in all the tunnels, big benefit for us. It will also provide Wi-Fi at all our above ground station. As I mentioned, the underground stations have Wi-Fi currently, but the above ground stations plus Staten Island is envisioned part of this expansion. Using our above ground infrastructure, there's also opportunity to enhance cell coverage for the above ground station. Even though you are above ground, there may be areas of the city where the coverage is not that great, and the carriers want to enhance the coverage to the station and the region. So this provides our superstructure to do that. For the MTA, we get fiber optic cable, we have Wi-Fi, which is a foundation of many of the new technology projects. And finally, also part of this expansion is that the payments we are paying for some of the stuff I mentioned, like the help points, the fiber, and so on, will be phased out, and we will get new revenue. So this is the framework of our expansion with Bolden which was signed in December 22. Next slide. So it is a massive investment. Over $600 million of capital investment is needed, a massive undertaking. We need to get cell service between each station over 300 segments. Will be fitted with fiber and cable, radiating coax. It will take time. It will be commingled with a capital program of state of good repair. Before we actually signed this license, we did actually a trial run in the NYCTRC tunnel. They were doing the rehab there, and Bolden was able to build out the service using the same outage as the NYCTRC. So we looked at that even before we actually signed the license. Now, after the license was signed, we did the Times Square shuttle, as mentioned. We are currently engaged in deploying cell service with the Crosstown CBTC project. As the CBTC project is being rolled out, we are having that installer do Bolden's cellular installation. We are also embedded in ADA projects. For instance, we are planning to roll out the Joralemon tube later on this year and going a little bit north to Fulton Street, and also north of Grand Central. We are planning that later on this year. So these are
How far north?
all the way to 161, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's going north.
did you have time estimates on these? The
Well-
G line and then,
With G line
The 456?
is under construction.
Mhm.
Joralemon is planned for later this year. Again, it's the outages we have to be in synergy with CBTC to make sure that outages match up. But again, these are all in play. Also, we are planning to embed this in future CBTC projects, like the Fulton CBTC, which is coming up, and future Sixth Avenue. So we will.
and Eighth Avenue.
Yeah, Eighth Avenue,
Yeah.
and it'll be embedded in the project so that the prime can do the work along with CBTC. The good thing about Bolden is that they already have the infrastructure. They have, and they're able to do this faster and less expensive. They have 5 base station hotels already part of their infrastructure, and all of this will connect back to these base station hotels. So it was part of this tunnel build, the subway station build, and it will be used to expand into the tunnels for cellular network. So just bear in mind, in the tunnels, it'll be cellular. At the stations, we have cell and Wi-Fi. Okay, next slide.
Is it about this, Trudy?
Yeah, it's
Sure.
about, just a very simple question. Is Bolden the new name? Because every time it comes up on my phone,
Yeah.
for what used to be Transit Wireless.
Yes, it is.
And is there a reason why they changed the name?
They made a corporate reshuffling, so they rebranded themselves under the new name, Bolden.
But it's the same company.
The Transit Wireless is part of Bolden's.
Oh, I see, but, so they were
Yeah, it's
absorbed.
no longer called Transit Wireless. They're called Bolden now.
Okay, thank you. Every time it pops up, I say, what is Bolden?
On your splash page on your phone, right?
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
Bolden.
exactly, exactly.
When it says no internet.
So in terms of
Thank you.
the capital investment, right? Before we signed the agreement, we looked at other private partnerships. And we said, how are we going to leverage a P3 model for the expansion? We get operational benefits, like I said, the fiber, which is the fundamental part of this deal. We also have, we are also able to do this project faster at a lower cost. We have minimum guarantees for each tunnel segment. And also some of the payments we are paying will phase out over time. After the capital costs are recouped, we have an upside, and the revenue will be increased over time. Because it's a long project, we are looking at 10+ years to build all of this, 20 years of operation, and there's a 2 5-year option at the tail end of the license agreement if we decide to keep them.
That means 10 years before the entire system is covered.
Yes, that is the plan.
And obviously, if you're on an elevated line, it's already covered because there's wireless.
wireless there. I mean, you are outside, plus if they need to put additional services because of the interest of the carriers, want cells, we have a superstructure as part of the license agreement.
And when you mentioned the Joralemon piece, how far along that line does that cover?
It goes from the tube up to
Tube.
Fulton Street.
Up to where?
Fulton Street.
So it's just,
Two more
so it's just the river between Brooklyn and Manhattan to Fulton Street is all you're talking about. You're not talking about east of like Borough Hall or anything like that.
Not at this point.
Nah.
So we took advantage of the ADA project already there to do the synergy to install. Again, this is over $1 billion benefit. Again, capital investment over 600 million, operating expenses reduced to by 210, minimum annual compensation, 200 million over the life of the base contract. And the existing base YCOM will be expanded beyond 2038. So we have revenue from that. And we get support for fiber and Wi-Fi. So all of it tallies to $1 billion benefit to the MTA because of this license agreement.
How does Bolden intend to keep riders aware of the progress they're making in various areas? Like now that you say they're doing the G line while CBTC is being updated on the G line, do they have signs and stations or in those trains saying coming soon?
Well, we wanted to, like, for instance, when we did the Times Square shuttle, we did a press conference. We are hoping press releases and press conference will be coming, but we wanted to get this under our belt, complete and ready to go. We didn't want to prematurely put stuff out there,
Right.
but these are stuff which is working towards, and once we have it fully ready, connected, there will be announcements and such. Okay. The last slide is questions and answers. This is a general overview of the project, the technology, and what we are ambitiously planning to do in the next decade. So I'm open to any questions and comments.
Do I have a question? Chris, I'm very glad to see we're doing Joralemon Tunnel. But a question that a lot of people have been asking, not just me, but I know Andrew, you've been getting this too. That in Brooklyn, you got a lot of heavy riderships, like the Fourth Avenue corridor, the Brighton line, because the B and the Q are on their own till the end. And you have the F line more goes in and out in the tunnels. Are we working on anywhere those areas?
We will be working, the license says the entire system, right? Now we have to synergize with existing projects which are there. So we're looking at the whole capital program to see how best to fit this. Because as you know, we are 24/7, getting geo access is difficult. So what we are trying to do is look at the entire capital program and projects which are out there and how to embed this work along with it. So eventually we will get there.
They've been doing the concourse line for several weekends. Is Bolden looking to do something there while the work's going on?
Not at this point, but we will have projects there, which we will try to get in there. But right now, also, they have, we need to take some baby steps here. Like, for instance, the Crosstown was a model. We looked at ADA projects we're looking at the Fulton and Sixth Avenue CBTC. Eventually, we will ducktail many of these capital projects to get in there. So also, we are trying to get the Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&Ts to also put up the capital investment. Essentially, that's where all the funding comes from, and you bring the interest of the model together. So that's where we work.
Is there any, I'll call on you next. Is there any thought to having Bolden wire underground and care less about the like the Brighton line, a lot of it is outdoors, and
Like the
F line is a lot is outdoors. Do the underground sections first so that you do have coverage. Obviously, you'll have coverage if you're outdoors.
The focus is underground. Obviously, that's the big focus right now. The above ground is a license is there, but obviously their focus is to solve the underground problem, definitely.
Thank you, Trudy.
Yeah, to get back to this Bolden, were they an existing company doing this kind of thing anywhere else?
Originally,
before? Do
they
have
were-
a track,
Yeah,
no pun intended, but do they have a track record of doing?
right. It was originally Transwal was a part of the BAI, then now they rebranded Bolden. They are doing the London Underground. So they do have experience in this field of,
Oh, they're doing London, no, because there are good reports about,
I'm sorry?
I said, I've heard good reports.
Yep.
of people within London who say that there's a lot more. Um, so was that one of the reasons for, or? Because I'm just confused. There was such a to-do about getting, Transit Wireless and the company, and they had experience and all of that. I remember that from when it first came on board, and then all of a sudden, boom, and no internet, and you're on Baldwin, and it says very clearly, at least on my phone, I don't know if other people get that, where it Baldwin, but then it says no internet.
No internet. I frequently see that.
Where is that, in the station or in town?
In the station.
Okay.
I mean, I had it.
I mean, if they're not going to offer internet, you can use your wireless carrier and get internet. So what's the benefit?
We'll look into that. I mean, stations are supposed to have Wi-Fi coverage, and but there's a splash page, you probably have to go through it. If you-
I can tell you this morning at Grand Central 42nd
Okay.
Street on the platform,
Okay,
and it was Bolden. I know my home station, which is 77th Street,
okay.
that's one of the reasons that we can't get an elevator or make it accessible because of the hard rock that it is built on, and it just, you can't get through it. I mean, I've gone through
It's
this.
called Manhattan schist.
Watch your language,
That's what it's
Andrew.
called.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I
this
second that.
particular station
Schist, not the dirty
especially,
word.
so I understand that, but why there can't be internet with what they're doing at other stations, and they very clearly, it's almost like they're proud of it, you got Baldwin, no internet.
And you're in a station and it still says no
Station.
internet.
We will,
I got hold of you.
I'll look into this, because the stations have to have Wi-Fi, and obviously you have cell coverage there.
Exactly.
But we'll look into that and make sure.
Yeah,
that all the
because-
stations- I mean, it may be, maybe there is some maintenance going on, but definitely.
No,
Grand
Everybody tells me to see that on the
Okay.
phone.
This morning, of all places, Grand Central 42nd Street,
Okay.
because I have to get off the 6, walk across the platform to get the 405 to get down here.
Yeah.
And that's a time that I figured I can make some calls or whatever. And this morning I had to explain to Andrew what was going on with me. No internet.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
I'll take a look at that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Kalia.
Hi, Mr. Samuel. My question for you are about apps like Neverland. If we don't have Neverlands, for the hard of hearing or the low sight or blind, if
Or
we don't have
language.
if we don't have Wi-Fi service, or if we don't have internet service, what are you prioritizing that? Are you making that a priority and saying, okay, we need to make sure that these apps are working so that people can be directed in a safe way?
So this is I'm not familiar with the app, but it is for some kind of physical.
It's, I can add, as an act member, the Netherlands pilot she's talking about, she's concerned if there's some of the 6 lines right now
Mhm.
has the
It's on the
Netherlands.
6th line. Mhm.
Yes,
It's an
thank
app
you.
where there's
Go ahead.
QR codes in stations that
Okay.
connect to this app where
Calls on the bus.
people who are vision impaired
Thank
are
you.
able to scan
Mhm.
a QR code and it'll give them some verbal instructions for navigating the
I
station.
mean, it's internet-based technology, obviously.
Exactly.
So, I mean, by default, if you have connectivity, the app should work like any other app. So as soon as we get this connectivity solved, whether it's that software or any other application should be easily operating on this network. It's like anything else out there.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Do we need one as the community?
I don't see any hands up.
I don't know, because they don't. She's shaking her head, she's saying, I have nothing to say.
Okay, and she's doing it in
Mute work.
mute work. Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm not raising my hand. I understood everything. Thank you.
Great. But one of Kalia's points is that a reason to have this sped up on the underground sections are for these apps that
Yeah.
people who have needs that will help them navigate the subway
Right.
more easily, not to mention all the other subway apps and
Mhm.
timetables and all of that. It is important.
Yep.
And if you can find out why everybody sees no internet when you're sitting in a station and you can get cellular coverage, you don't need Bolden for
It's
that.
almost like they're proud of it. You got Bolden, no internet.
Okay, let me,
Or the inference is, you want internet, you got to pay more.
well, it's, the way the Wi-Fi works is splash page, you watch a little ad, then it should take you in. I'll look into it. Maybe there's some hiccup or some issue with
That would
that
be good to
configuration, but definitely will take care.
I have a
Take a look.
question. How about for buses? Anything to look for, maybe express buses or?
Well, the buses are
Like
outside.
Outside.
Yeah.
I know, like if you're on a laptop and you want to use your laptop, where do you connect for wireless to use your laptop? If there's.
Who's your
no-
wireless carrier? That's who you connect with.
But if you don't have a hotspot on your phone, then you can't use.
All phones have
your
hotspots now.
Well,
I have yet to find a place that I can't,
I think that some of the
that I'm
local buses
outside, I
have
can't get
Wi-Fi now.
connected.
Yeah, we used to have it, right at this point, we kind of pull that Wi-Fi from other buses. So, because we are focused on where it's really needed.
Exactly.
Like underground. So once you have, and more folks have unlimited data plans, so reality is, it's the underground subway stations and the tunnels where we need to focus on. Yeah.
The tunnels.
So do you have an approximate time for that Lexington Avenue upgrade from Grand Central up
We
to
are planning to
Yankee
start
Stadium?
construction this year. I do not have the timeline. Again, these are complicated installations along with the synergy with the projects there.
So Bolden will not make these installations unless there's an upgrade for that line that's taking place?
Well, it's not Bolton. The problem for us is to give them access to the tunnel.
Tunnels, yeah.
We want to make sure there's projects there where they can piggyback and have synergy with. Because we know getting them access exclusively is tough.
Okay.
With all the other capital projects going on. So we are cleverly trying to embed them with projects which are already there in terms of capital.
When CBTC was being installed on Queens Boulevard East and Queens Boulevard West, was Bolden part of that?
No, because December 22nd was, but we will definitely.
Lost opportunity there.
Yeah. But the thing is, we will go back there. It's not that we'll have to figure out another opportunity to get back into that area and put the cellular in, definitely. But
Okay,
we are moving forward, obviously, for Crosstown and Fulton, Six, and so we will definitely have the synergy there.
while you're doing the G Crosstown line, I assume you're gonna do it all the way to Court Square and just to Church Avenue on the southern end, or?
There's 3 areas there. I mean, right now we're focused on area 1 and 2 and the southern side will come later. But right now we are trying to focus on the northern side.
Got it.
And that's where the
Got it.
CTC is
Yep.
going to
Got it.
go faster.
Well, I think that's everybody's question, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope this was informative. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
If you hear of updates or if you hear of an answer as to why the Wi-Fi,
Yes.
please let it.
Why it says no internet, it's almost like they're proud of it, that's. the way
Let me find out and I can
Yeah.
find out with Lisa or.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so
Thank you.
much.
Okay.
Wow.
I think we can move to old business. Oh, wait a minute. Do you have some updates?
Brian has
I have a quick.
Yeah,
Thank you.
please, Brian. I knew there was something we didn't do. Yeah,
Okay. Oh, actually, there was athlete presentation. That was his turn.
yeah.
We're doing very good.
So I think as everyone's aware, we're right in the middle of budget season, both at the state level and just beginning budget season at the city as well, which has kept us pretty busy in the month of March with a number of our priorities. So I just put together, it's mostly just pictures of us at rallies, but a quick presentation of some of the things we've been up to this month. Top priority for the MTA as a whole, obviously, is getting the capital plan funded. And so we've been talking with legislators at the state level primarily, but also in the city where necessary, in order to make sure that they're aware of the dire need to fund the upcoming capital plan, what's included in it, how it's, 90% of state of good repair program that is absolutely essential, and we don't want to kick the can down the road, because we all know what happens when we do that, we end up with another summer of hell or
It
something
gets
worse.
cheaper the longer you wait.
Exactly. So we. Sorry, Kara.
That's my lie.
We rallied at City Hall with a number of other organizations. Yes, Chris was there, but
Service. That's called lip service.
Lip service.
Yes. Next up, Union Station DC, please.
okay. The city council held a transportation budget hearing on the 19th. We talked not only about the capital plan, but a number of other priorities, especially the ones that are related to New York City DOT, better bus service, ACE enforcement, et cetera. Lisa delivered the testimony, but Kara delivered our remarks at the rally.
Yes, she did.
Prior to the hearing.
She looks invincible.
Yeah, right?
Like ready for her concert. Look at you.
Preaching to the choir is what I call that.
This Tuesday, you can go to the next one. We were up in Albany, joined by a number of state legislators, including Senator Liz Kruger, who's the finance chair, the chair of the budget committee, Senator Gennardis was our host for the day, and a number of assembly members. We're at the same time, Dano and a number of MTA members of MTA leadership were up there as well. So it was a good opportunity while they're conferencing on the different options that are available. We put out the report last month on 24 of them called Take Your Pick.
Is that you holding this map?
Yes, exactly. So we can go to the next one too.
Assembly person right there.
Yeah,
There's Liz Kruger, who's my state senator, who, by the way, you should know.
Anything about the rider representative?
he did not. We stayed focused on the capital plan on the rally.
I want you to know that Liz Kruger, who is my state senator and an old friend, and is one of these people who calls me periodically, usually to tell me something bad, but she said, your people, that's what you are. She said, your people were really great up there. So I just thought.
Oh, that's great.
I just thought you'd like to know that and Liz does not give too many compliments, so, but.
Well, she complimented me.
When you go up there, do you buy your own train ticket or is it paid for? Do we pay for it?
I mean, it comes out of our budget. Yeah, we have a small budget for travel and that sort of thing that we use. Yeah.
Yeah, when we do the PCAC, it shows us the budget.
And also just wanted to mention that Jessica Gonzalez Rojas was rallying here, and Brian made sure to mention that she's a former New York City Transit Writers Council member, and she was also proud to share that with the entire group.
Yeah, definitely.
She's a member of PCAC.
So, we've been pushing as hard as we can along with our colleagues in advocacy to get this capital plan funded. I think, the rumor mill that from talking with some of the staffers and legislators up there is they think it will happen. I think moved beyond.
To the tune of the same 60 some odd million.
They believe that they can close the $35.4 billion hole with somewhere in the neighborhood of $2.5 billion of recurring revenue that the MTA will bond to fill that hole. The good news, I think, is that it will be spread over the entire MTA region, at least in part, not fall solely on New York City.
Which it should be.
Fingers crossed on that. There's a number of funding sources that are still up in the air as to what it might be, but this will all happen probably within the next week or two.
Oh, wow.
Was there any talk about how we're being possibly, I'm trying to think of a nice polite word, but I'll use screwed by the Trump administration and by Washington? Was there any talk?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we expect $14 billion to come to help fund the next capital plan. Obviously, that is much more up in the air. I will say that because it's mostly a state of good repair plan, and that is mostly formula-based funding instead of discretionary funding, that tends to be a little more secure than the discretionary funding, which is good news. And I do think that when you get into messing with formula-based funding, it becomes tough to just take it away from one state versus another. And that becomes that would inject a lot of uncertainty and probably kill a lot of transportation and infrastructure jobs across the country, which I don't think they want to do. So our hope is that it's it's a little more secure than some people would have you believe, but it's definitely a risk.
Even though Duffy's specifically mentioned New York when,
Yeah.
by the way, I don't know if people know, but he comes from New York. That's the irony that he's now saying all these negative things. Not from New York City, but he comes from upstate New York, and why he
He's
is.
a Wisconsinite.
Yes, now Sean Patrick Duffy is from Wisconsin. Julie, you're referring to Thomas Douglas Holman. He's from the North Country.
I was told that Duffy also has roots in he might, wherever, that he has roots in upstate New York. I was told that by some upstate New York people. I don't know.
I think they might be mistaken.
The way he's talking.
Yeah, he's from northern Wisconsin originally.
Originally.
Yeah, we also, not to leave out congestion pricing, we had a couple rallies on that as well. One with Comptroller Lander, another with the governor last Friday, which was great. Really good reception. There's another.
Karen? Yeah.
Yep, Karen was there as well.
I gotta meet her.
You can go to the next one. So it was a really positive event at 9th Avenue and 14th Street in Chelsea. She rode the M14 over with Q and a number of other folks. And then it was a good turnout for that rally. That was on the day the feds had their deadline to turn off the cameras, which they had punted on the day before.
And her ride across 14th Street got wonderful press coverage.
Yep.
Yes.
He said it was very fast.
And
Yeah.
the air quality at 9th Avenue and 14th Street has much improved since congestion pricing.
Blue sky.
I'll also note we had a really great meeting with members of the San Francisco County Transportation Authority who did a visit and wanted to talk about the process for getting congestion pricing passed and the hurdles that we had to overcome, both on the political side and policy side. They're considering doing a congestion pricing program.
Several cities in the US are considering.
Yeah. So they wanted to talk to us about that. And they actually ended up coming to the rally with us as well, which was fun to have them there.
Sharon.
Linked to that is a totally different thing. I recently had to use the public transit in Charleston, South Carolina and Florida, and it's just awful when you don't have it. And in Charleston, they are thinking of cutting it back, the little they have. And there is an email that you can send to the South Carolina people saying, please don't cut this back. Can I send you the link to that? And anybody who would want to could send a comment about how important we think.
I'm surprised to hear that about Charleston because North Carolina is expanding and they have plans to expand much more rail service.
Well, that's rail service. This was buses.
Yeah.
And in from the airport around. So if it's okay with you, I'll see if Jessica can send everybody the link so that we can be involved, not just in New York, but promoting public transit around the world.
Don't see what now.
Yeah.
Andrew, I have a question.
And let's hear it.
As you were in City Hall, I was there as well, and I put my testimony in as well. The only thing I have to say is I love the rally there. But the way City Hall still does, when they do all their presentations, the time we have to speak, it's almost time to dinner time or it's time to go to bed.
It was a very long day.
Yeah, so,
About-
but it's strange in the city against the state. At least they tell you what time in the state when you're gonna speak. And they give you the option. Because,
It was on their agenda that the public weren't going to be speaking until.
well, there are times that they do tell us, but I'm saying on agenda paper. Or they do show you what the agenda is. That's the difference between a state and a city.
I don't know how you can possibly predict how long each speaker will speak, though. It's gonna have.
They tell you how long they want you to speak.
Yeah.
I agree. I know that's what I was waiting for Trudy. I was timing her.
So we also continued to push for our fare related policy proposals, fair fares being one of them. We rallied again at City Hall before the general welfare hearing on St. Patrick's Day. And testified at that meeting as well. We went to that one because HRA, who administers the program, was giving their presentation there. So we, we're there with our partners from Riders Alliance and Community Service Society to do a little presser just beforehand. And also preview a report that we have coming out in the not too distant future on what the expansion from 145% to 200% of the federal poverty level would mean. I'll say the headline is.
For riders.
Yeah, another 415,000 residents that would be eligible for the program.
And it's ironic that New York doesn't have it at 200 when other cities already do.
Yeah, where we have the lowest eligibility
Sure,
threshold
David Jones is
despite,
not happy.
despite having one of the highest costs of living and one of the highest poverty rates. So it's really unfair.
But I'm sure he's
He looks happy.
Yes, he was happy.
He was happy.
I will say the good,
happy that people are standing up for fair fares, of course.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's his baby. That's way, way, way back. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
But he also has the most wonderful smile.
He does
that
have a great
just-
smile.
Smiling in this photo.
I will say, the good news on fair fares and some of our other policy proposals is that the vast majority of them were included in the Senate One House budget that came out towards the beginning of the month.
Really?
And the Assembly also made a reference to them as well, which was better than what we got last year. Speaking with Senator Comrie's staff just the other day, they remain hopeful that they may be included in the final budget. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that they don't get lost in the shuffle with all the other priorities, particularly the capital plan this year. And then just a note on safety, that's come up a lot over the past month, not only from the secretary, but the governor put out her 5-point plan just over a year ago now. We've put out a number of press statements talking about the impacts that it has had over the course of the year in reducing crime, et cetera. And want to keep in the conversation on that as well. So that's my report.
Let me just ask if Deborah has a question for you. Deborah?
Yes, I do. At your rally and your hearings, did they bring up that once seniors who are poor, when we turn 65, we have to go back and pay full fare for accessory? Did anybody mention that?
Yeah, we included that in our report, and it didn't come up in the honestly, we didn't get any questions during the hearings. But
That is a priority for us as well. We
Yeah.
mentioned that in our the research with the report, and we've talked about that in the past. So thank
The
you.
reason I asked that is I have where I live in Brooklyn, and my fellow community board members, I am on the transportation committee. We all are concerned because we have a lot of seniors who are very poor, and it is very financially hard for them to do $2.90 after they were doing $1.45.
yeah,
And that's why I was asking, because I could not make it to that, stuck in 3 other things, but I just wanted to know because they asked me if I could ask this.
yeah. I will say the council grilled transit officials quite a bit on having to pay more for,
Not that much.
well, a little bit, on having to cover a larger percentage of the cost of paratransit generally. And, just some concern there about what's fair. So it's certainly,
And I'd like to make one
Certainly a point
suggestion,
of-
please. This will be
Yep.
very quick.
Go
I think
ahead.
we need to educate the elected officials on who and where does the Fair Fare program started from, who started it, and why is it this way? Because I had an issue with Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, who had to apologize to me because even her borough president said I was right. It was started by former Mayor Bill de Blasio. And that really is like, they need to be re-educated and reminded. And I have no problem. If you ever need me to testify, I will agree to do that. So just keep me informed. Thank
sounds
you.
good.
Thank you.
Jason?
You're welcome.
one thing that I want to make very clear to this room, and I hope that Lisa is watching, because I'm very heartbroken and disappointed.
Crying right now.
I could be the traffic guru. I could have been involved in the labor advocacy, been in the public spotlight for over a decade. Featured not one and two documentaries that are seen internationally. I was with the founder of Amazon Labor Union, Chris Moss, to a Senate hearing in Washington. I don't know what PCAC is waiting and doing a lot of lip service to go to Washington to talk to Congress. Last night, my own congressman, Dan Goldman, did a virtual town hall with 500 and something of his constituents. Let me tell you something, everyone, and I hope that Lisa Dagian, who is not here, that she could hear this. Nothing about the MTA wasn't mentioned.
And what was the topic of the conference?
Let me tell you, Andrew Albert, every member of Congress, it could be Republican or Democrat, have been doing town halls. It could be either in person or virtual. They've been facing their own constituents. I don't know what in the world are you guys into. Remember, guys, New York is known as the Empire State. Sean Patrick Duffy, which I called by his full name yesterday, in front of the entire MTA board. And board member Neil Zuckerman dared him to come next month.
Yes, he did.
If this entity, in other words, the PCAC, is the advocacy who is doing the inside work for the MTA, is not doing nothing. In other words, lip service.
Why do you think that, Jason?
We're supposed to do.
Didn't you just hear Brian's report about all
But
the?
it's only the state. I don't see anybody taking the Cell Express train from Monahan Train Hall and making national headlines in the national networks.
But they are talking to our US senators and US congressmen.
Yeah.
So we are speaking to.
I could wake up in my TV, but I don't see you guys on CNN, MSNBC, and other national networks.
We would be happy to do that if we were.
Happy Brian, it is too late. Since January 20th, the Republicans have been attacking Democratic states like ours.
Yeah.
Action. That's all I wanted to stay on.
Understood.
I've been doing all the advocacy for over a decade, Brian Frisch. I invited you guys.
Can we bring it?
I've been angry.
You don't have to yell.
This is why I've been angry. I invited the entire MTA that you guys could see my entire work. Nobody saw it. This is why I'm sick and tired of lip service. Because you guys could say one thing, but don't demonstrate it with actions.
Good.
This is why I was so angry with Lisa Dagian. And I wonder she is not here today. Because she could say, oh, I want to elevate for Mets Willis Point to 7. And she is a Mets fan. If she wants it, why she doesn't go to Steve Cohen personally and have a conversation? Because I was near Mets Willis Point the other day. There's a soccer stadium being built.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Okay. Jason, I understand what you're saying. I agree what you're saying. But at the same time, also, I think it will be best, Andrew, that I think we definitely need to talk to Jason privately after this meeting or somehow, because I don't want to say everything else because it's on the record.
They are leaving.
Huh? No,
Because
Jason.
you guys are not going to do nothing.
Hold on, Jason, this is Chris speaking. Can I,
No.
can I finish something, please? I didn't say.
You guys had since January.
Jason, we
do
listen to you.
everything.
Let him speak.
Since I'm not gonna be part of it, I've been doing everything for 10 years and I've been in the spotlight. And you guys are in the public spotlight, right? And I've been not involved in it. I'm not gonna be part anymore. It's best to do my independent advocacy that I've been doing in the past. And I'm not going to support anybody. You guys prefer to support elitists like the Writers Alliance. I'm gonna do my work independently. Because you guys don't even care about people that work in Amazon, like me, that commute an hour and a half.
Care about all
No.
transit users, Jason.
Because saying it and doing it are two different things, Andrew Albert. And I wonder why Lisa Jackie is not here.
She had a
Because-
previous thing that she had
No.
uptown about.
I had enough of it. I'm gonna stop attending these meetings. I had enough.
Okay.
Because if she wants an elevator match, what is point? She could go and talk to Steve Cohen.
Is that what the meeting was about at 1 o'clock?
Not at all.
O'clock?
Not at all. Not at
I
all.
will suggest.
He's just very upset.
I think he left his phone.
Oh, I hope he didn't.
Did he?
No, did-
No.
A phone is there. Phone is.
Oh, there is a phone there?
I'll give it to him.
Thanks, Chris.
Yes. Permission not to say everything because it should not be on the recording, but.
You want to run after? him?
Please get him his phone, Chris. Please get him his phone. Thanks.
Is he still visible?
Once he's.
If he comes back.
He'll figure it out and come back, I'm sure.
No, I'll hold it right now because.
That was quite a tirade considering we've all been fighting for better transit for, in my case, 40 some odd years and
Yes.
30 some odd and 40 some odd years.
Actually, just not having tirades.
Because we didn't go to DC. We speak to our federal employees right up here too.
He's upset.
He's upset.
Andrew,
Just want some appreciation or maybe a thank you once in a
Andrew,
while.
I'd like to ask something, Ken, and can I just finish what I was trying to say this? I can understand Jason's upset, yes. And I'm gonna say it a different way because there are certain rules I have to be very careful. And I know Debbie and Kalia might say something as well. A disability or not a disability, we still have, if a person has trouble speaking or a person has a certain ear concern issue, may have a problem speaking. That's something that once you get a person that upset, and I did appreciate Andrew, you let him speak, and I do say thank you for that. But once someone's upset, there's no way, once the person calms down, he's very upset. What someone did to him, and I'm not saying who it is because it's on record, we have to be a little more professional to a person's disability. Because even me, if I get treated like that, it hurts me as well as a disability. And for him to be upset, Andrew, normally he does not do that any place.
No, he surely didn't do it yesterday at the MTA either.
Yeah, and
He speaks at all the board
He
meetings.
speaks at every
all the
meeting.
board meetings. But can I suggest, since Stuart's here, can you and all three of us talk privately after?
Sure.
Permission, because I don't want to say anything else because it's on recording and he's very upset. And for him to be on tears, really upset him. And I know Debbie and Kalia might add something in because Kalia and I were like, wow, how upset he was. Kalia, you want to add something with me? Because I know
You should be moving on.
Kalia, you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. And
Yes.
I just want to reiterate to everybody that that was definitely out of character for Jason. He does have a tendency to speak louder because of his disability. We don't expect anybody to visually be able to identify everyone's disability. But he does have a tendency to speak louder, but he obviously was very agitated today, and there's a history behind why he was so agitated that not everybody's aware of. So on behalf of our friend, who we know is fighting for the same thing we all want, I'm sorry, we're sorry that it came off that way.
Yes, Deborah.
Okay, I'm going to say I'm extremely sorry he did that. He does have issues with his speech as well as hearing. He is very upset because he has been at times dismissed, and he has not always been supported or even just someone say thank you for things he's done.
Thank you,
That's
Lindsay.
why he is also very upset. And what will happen, we have to do is we'll very calmly, when you do speak with you do it, just speak. I am not going on, but you have to understand that he's had a very hard life. And there are things that have happened that has hurt him. And the reason he's fighting so hard for transit is because it affects everybody. But he has felt at times he's been
Preaching to the
ignored.
choir.
I understand that, but certain people have not been nice to him. They have talked down to him. And after
Nobody
a
in
while,
this room.
no, the person's not here right now.
So let's not go that direction.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Let's
I'm
not-
trying to be
I
completely
get it.
polite and respectful.
Thank you.
That's what I'm trying to just want to explain one thing. When someone has also auditory processing, they have a hard time hearing and expressing themselves.
Thank you.
All right,
We
so that's
we
all I'm
actually,
saying.
thank you,
Thank
Deborah.
you.
We're going to get an update on QueensLink now from Rick Horan, who's been with us most of the day here.
Presented.
You want to give us a quick update, Rick? But you have to unmute.
Okay, I thought I did that. Can you hear me now?
We sure can.
Yes.
All right, wonderful. As you guys know, New York City didn't have to wait for the Trump administration to disrespect Queens commuters. Mayor Adams did that several years ago when he decided to build a park on Queens only north-south rail corridor. So that's actually the biggest gorilla in the room when it comes to the threat of reactivating the Rockaway Beach branch. And what we're trying to do simultaneously is pause any further design and construction on the Queensway Park. Although the mayor has claimed that it would not get in the way of better transit if it's ever needed in the future. There's been no accommodation made for rail in the park. In fact, it's just the opposite. And then the last presidential administration decided to fund another section of the park called Forest Park Pass. It's a little more than a half a mile, and it's costing almost $118 billion or $1 million. So it's just doubling down on disconnecting the communities that this Reconnecting Communities program was supposed to resolve. But at the same time, we're trying to raise some money for studying the tangible economic, environmental, and transit equity benefits that would result from reactivation. And we were lucky to get a $400,000 grant from the US DOT to do that. We had to raise $100,000 in matching funds from non-federal sources. And we had a very successful GoFundMe campaign, and we've exceeded that goal. So there is still a bit of a question as to whether the funding from the federal government is sound. It's been a roller coaster. But at the moment, it seems like it is in place, and we're going to start putting together a scope for this study. We'd certainly like to work with the PCAC to get input as to what information you folks think is valuable. We'd like this to be an inclusive, objective, and transparent study that can be used as a starting point for conversations among stakeholders, community members, businesses, and transit organizations.
Absolutely. Thank you. Rick, have you had a chance to speak to any of the mayoral candidates about QueensLink?
Well, we're in the process of reaching out to them. There's a limit to what we can do as a 501c3. But we want to make sure that they're fully informed as to why this project is so important. And so we've made ourselves available, to them for that purpose.
Okay, maybe some of them have some ideas about how this could happen.
Well, yes, and it certainly can't get worse than it is now. As you know, it's
Exactly.
city-owned property, and and unfortunately, the executives at every level of government, from the president to the governor to the mayor, have far too much unilateral power, and so maybe we'll see that turn around in the next administration. We certainly hope so.
Have you heard at all anything from Selena Brooks Powers?
Well, Selbita has been, a close ally. She's met with the MTA a few times, in chambers and with, as part of her committee chairperson function, and has proposed to them that they study the reactivation from an environmental standpoint. They have refused. They have no interest in doing that. One can only speculate why, but it's especially with congestion pricing, part of the promise of that was that additional revenue would be used to improve outer borough transit, so people would be less reliant on cars. But that's not the way it's playing out. Here you have an unused right of way that they're purposely ignoring. And as a result, the congestion on Van Wyck and Woodhaven Boulevard will just keep getting worse. So it's time for a lot of people to put their money where their mouth is and do what needs to be done to make this thing a reality.
All right, keep us posted, Rick, and we're there to help.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody.
It's a ridiculous battle between making all of this parkland, and you have a rail line which could provide really, really fast north-south service there.
Aren't you used to ridiculous battles?
I guess so, yeah.
There have been
All the rail trails.
We've lived through many of them.
I know. Any old business, folks?
I have old business. If I could do it quick, well, I know Stuart may have wants to go
Please
first.
go on then.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm a little scratchy. Guys, let me stay focused, 'cause trying to stay in one place. Regarding some stations, like, regarding cleaning and stuff. I have seen today at Kings Highway, because it is related to cleaning.
You're gonna talk like that, you've got to tell us which Kings Highway.
I was just gonna say, well, it has to be the B&Q because it's the only accessible station on the line.
Well, I didn't know you were talking accessibility. Could have been cleaning.
I know. Thank you for making me laugh. It was such impressed to see that, looking at stations, like I know Stuart mentioned certain other stations and other
Yeah.
lines. But it's amazing, even an outside station, Kings Highway on the B&Q, you don't see pitch and poop. You see them cleaning it a little faster at that station. And the elevator there is clean, because the one thing is there might be a little dust, but we don't care. It doesn't smell.
So what are you saying? You want more pigeon poop?
No, what I'm saying is there any new system in cleaning now all of a sudden? Because
I think the outside stations get bird treatments a lot more than the underground stations. There's no question about that.
Yeah,
Well,
because sometimes Avenue and Neck
I
Road,
mean, we do have birds underground in many stations, but
Yeah.
not like,
but
we
there's,
have a lot of rats, the four-legged
I would,
kind.
yeah.
the RET. I'm trying to spell, because.
So please go on, Chris. We're running out of
No,
time.
no, that's what I just said. I just asked, is there any new methods?
I don't know, but we'll find out. We might have a whole cleaning team come for a meeting because many people have expressed an interest. Broadway Lafayette, for
Good idea.
instance.
Okay. Can I follow up on that? I'm not kidding about, there seems to be lately, again, at least on the stations that I use on the side, all along the tracks, and the rats are getting, and I've talked about this, and that's why somebody said, are you talking about the two-legged kind or four-legged kind? These are the four-legged kind, but they are bigger and bigger, and I don't know if any of you saw on, I guess it was on TikTok or someplace, about the rat that was pulling a piece of pizza all the way down.
The pizza rat.
Yeah, the pizza rat. Yeah.
Everyone knows that pizza.
Oh, yeah. Well, some,
I think from this kind of discussion and previous discussions we've had, we're gonna get some cleaning team info for one of our meetings.
maybe we can get the,
We can get stations department here.
yeah.
That's what I was gonna raise and ask if they've ever provided you with a schedule.
They did not, because it varies because of various things that happen with GOs and with everything else, and they have to send a cleaning crew over to something else, but I will get them
You know,
for you.
if we can get them there, then.
We're gonna get them there.
Being mindful of time, the other old business thing is, did we ever
Yes, we have
get that information on?
So an update for you, so essentially the MTA's data that they're more regularly releasing is aggregate by day, but there is granular by the hour and station level data that we're working on visualizing. It's going to be a station level analysis of which stations are seeing the highest ridership post-COVID. It's just, there's a bit of a lag in terms of meaningful data, since it's not immediate, but we are working on that and that will be ready.
My particular interest would be, also, you know, post-COVID is great.
I meant,
It's the implementation.
yes, sorry, I said COVID, I meant congestion pricing.
Right.
Exactly, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Sharon,
It's new business.
go ahead.
Just because we were totally perplexed trying to deal with Omni, could some of the posters or all of the posters that say, buy Omni, Omni is a good deal, tell you how to get it? You know, where to buy it and what it includes.
Okay, well,
No detail and.
they are putting, like they said, every month, they're putting Omni machines in more and more stations. We even have some on the Upper West Side already, and
I understand it's in transition, but for the time being, there are all these posters to do it, but there's no fine print about how to do it.
yeah, you can add value. If it's a senior or reduced fare Omni, you can go to a customer service center. You can go to omni.info on your computer, like my wife did, and we set a funding source. If it gets below $40, it'll replenish it. And you give it a credit card or debit card.
It does all that stuff. I don't know how to find out what it does.
Have you gone on to omni.info?
We were Googling and messing.
No, but have you gone on to omni.info?
We didn't know to do that. Maybe the.
They'll tell you
posters
everything if you
say,
go on.
Go to omni.
I think they do.
I thought I gave, last time I was here, I gave you guys, I gave everyone here the brochures that says omni.info.
Yeah, but you're not a tourist who comes here from.
No, but in the stations, they
But he
have.
plays one on TV.
Actually, no, Omni Woman is right there. Actually, you're correcting. I'm not I'm the son. That's the Omni person who was doing the video.
That's
Okay,
me.
So.
Sharon, try that and let me know if you have anything else. If you didn't find out something.
Look at the poster and see if it says that.
Can you take a picture?
I will.
And could he also, to both ladies, I'm sorry, Andrew, to interrupt, because we're running out of time too.
Yeah, we have.
I just want to say this quick. When you guys see these problems at signages, can you guys take the picture and send it to me?
Okay.
Because they just emailed me. That's quick.
Okay, hearing no other business?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
I beat you to it.
Thank you. I like the way she just did it, right on the 2:00 notes.
You did it right on.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hi, thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
You're welcome.
Brian, do you, Brian,
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Oh, what are we gonna do about, we should do something. I'm afraid Jason's gonna go jump on the tracks.
No, Sharon,